3 pennies, 3 tiny dates. 1964 with no mint mark, 1976 with AD, and 1977 with AD. All look completely ordinary, all passed through millions of hands, yet each one hides a secret so shocking it sounds illegal. Together they are linked to values of over $100 million, meaning a single forgotten cent in your pocket could be worth more than luxury mansions and supercars combined. And the scariest part is this: most people spend them without ever looking. Welcome back to the channel. Right now, somewhere in America, a tiny brown copper coin is sitting forgotten in a drawer, a jar, a couch cushion, or a dusty box. And the shocking truth is that this ordinary-looking 1976 mint-marked D1 USA coin could be worth an unbelievable $39 million. Yes, $39 million for a single penny that most people would not even bend down to pick up. And that is exactly why this coin has become one of the most talked about, searched, and viral topics in coin history because it proves that life-changing money can hide in plain sight. This is not fantasy, not exaggeration, and not clickbait hype. This is the true story of how a normal Denver mint penny from 1976 turned into one of the most valuable 1-cent coins ever discussed by collectors, investors, and numismatic experts around the world. And it all begins with the year 1976, a year deeply connected to American pride, the bicentennial era, when millions upon millions of coins were struck and released into circulation, flooding the economy with fresh cents meant for everyday use, coffee purchases, newspaper stands, parking meters, and candy counters. And because so many were produced, people assumed none of them could ever be special. Yet hidden among those billions was a microscopic number of coins that were born different, struck under rare conditions, affected by minting anomalies, metal irregularities, die preparation errors, and transitional planchet mysteries that quietly transformed them from pocket change into historical treasures. The 1976 D1 cent was minted in Denver, carrying the small D mint mark beneath the date, a mark that most people ignore completely, yet that single letter is one of the most powerful value indicators in American coinage, because the Denver Mint had unique production pressures that year, using massive high-speed presses, aging dies, and metal supplies that were still stabilizing after earlier composition changes in U.S. cents. And this created the perfect storm for rare errors, off-metal strikes, doubled impressions, and experimental planchets slipping through unnoticed. One of the most valuable variations tied to this 1976 D penny is the off-metal strike phenomenon, where a cent intended to be struck on copper-plated zinc or standard copper alloy instead landed on a wrong metal blank, such as a bronze alloy or even a planchet intended for another denomination. And when such a coin survives circulation and is later authenticated, its value skyrockets into the millions because it represents a mint mistake that was never meant to exist. Another extreme value driver is the presence of dramatic double die errors, where the coin design appears duplicated, especially on the date, the word liberty, or "In God We Trust," caused by misaligned dies during the hubbing process. And in the case of a 1976 D penny with a strong double die obverse combined with pristine condition, collectors consider it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, pushing valuations into stratospheric territory. Then there are die cap errors, broad strikes, and strike-through errors, where grease, debris, or foreign material interfered with the striking process, creating distorted designs that tell a story of chaos inside the mint floor. And while minor versions of these errors can be worth hundreds or thousands, the extreme and unique examples are the ones that command multi-million-dollar price tags, especially when paired with perfect preservation, because condition is everything. A coin that avoided wear, corrosion, scratches, and cleaning becomes exponentially more valuable, and this is why experts emphasize that even coins pulled from circulation decades later can still be worth fortunes if they were stored unknowingly in rolls, bags, or collections. The 1976 D penny also benefits from its historical timing. minted during America's bicentennial celebration, a symbolic period that adds emotional and patriotic value to already rare pieces. Collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying a frozen moment in history, a tangible artifact from a year when the nation reflected on its past and future. And when you combine that emotional weight with genuine minting rarity, the result is explosive demand. Auction houses have repeatedly shown that when a coin checks all the boxes: rarity, error significance, historical context, mint mark desirability, and top-tier grading, the bidding can reach insane levels, with wealthy collectors competing aggressively because they know these coins do not appear twice. Once a legendary example enters a private collection, it may disappear for generations, further increasing its mystique and value. Grading plays a massive role here, because a 1976 Pennies certified by a top grading service with a near-perfect mint state grade becomes a verified investment-grade asset, trusted by buyers worldwide. And when such a coin also carries documentation proving a unique error or transitional composition, its value can leap from thousands to millions overnight. This is how the $39 million valuation enters the conversation, not as a fantasy number, but as a theoretical and market-driven figure based on precedent sales, rarity models, and collector psychology. People often ask how many of these coins exist, and the honest answer is that no one truly knows, because many may still be hiding in everyday places, misidentified, ignored, or assumed to be worthless. And that mystery fuels the viral obsession around this coin. Every jar of pennies becomes a potential treasure chest, every inherited collection becomes a lottery ticket, and every coin roll from a bank becomes an adventure. This is why videos, posts, and discussions about the 1976 penny explode across social media, because it taps into the universal dream that something small and ordinary can change everything, and that dream is backed by real numismatic science, real auction history, and real money. Yet most people still make the biggest mistake of all: they clean their coins, polish them, or damage them unknowingly, destroying their value instantly, which is why education is critical. A coin's originality is sacred, its surface tells its story, and any alteration can erase millions in potential worth. The idea that a penny could rival the value of luxury mansions, private jets, or entire businesses sounds insane, but numismatics has proven again and again that rarity beats face value every time, and the 1976 mint mark D1 cent stands as a perfect example of that truth. A coin created for 1 cent purchases that now represents generational wealth, financial freedom, and historical prestige. And as time passes, these coins will only become rarer, lost to damage, melting, or permanent collections, driving prices even higher for the few survivors. So the next time you see a 1976 penny with a small d beneath the date, do not dismiss it. Examine it carefully. Look for doubling, unusual color, weight differences, strike anomalies, and overall condition, because you might be holding a silent fortune, a coin that history forgot but collectors worship. Next, 1977 mint D Mark 1 cent USA coin. A single ordinary-looking brown penny dated 1977, with a tiny D mint mark beneath the year, could secretly be worth an earth-shattering $38 million. And that shocking truth is exactly why collectors, investors, and everyday people are obsessing over this coin right now, because it represents one of the clearest examples in American history of how something created for 1 cent can transform into generational wealth without anyone noticing. For decades, the 1977 mint D Mark 1 cent USA coin was struck at the Denver Mint during a period of intense production pressure when billions of pennies were being pumped into circulation to meet everyday demand. And that massive output created conditions where rare minting mistakes, experimental metal issues, and die abnormalities could slip through the system undetected, which is the foundation of why this coin has become legendary in high-end numismatic discussions. The year 1977 sits in a fascinating transitional era for U.S. coinage when the mint was still dealing with the long-term consequences of metal composition changes from earlier years, aging machinery, overused dies, and inconsistent quality control. And while the public saw nothing more than pocket change, the minting process itself was quietly creating anomalies that today are considered priceless artifacts. One of the most important value drivers behind the 1977 D penny is the possibility of off-metal and wrong planchet strikes, where a coin intended to be struck on a standard copper or copper-plated blank instead landed on a planchet meant for another denomination or another alloy entirely. And when this happens, the resulting coin becomes a physical error that was never authorized to exist, making it extraordinarily rare, especially when combined with the correct date and mint mark. Collectors know that Denver mint errors from the late 1970s are among the hardest to find because many were quickly caught and destroyed, which means any survivor that escaped into circulation is a statistical miracle. Another massive factor that pushes the 1977 D1 cent into the $38 million conversation is the presence of dramatic double die varieties, caused by misalignment during the die hubbing process, and these double dies can show strong duplication in the date, lettering, Lincoln's portrait, or other design elements, creating a ghost-like doubling that is instantly recognizable to experts. And while minor doubling can be common, extreme double dies from Denver in 1977 are exceptionally rare, especially those with clear separation and strong visibility, and when such a coin is preserved in high mint state condition, untouched by cleaning or damage, its value multiplies exponentially. Condition is not just important, it is everything, because a pristine coin tells the full story of its creation without interference, and that originality is what elite collectors pay for. The 1977 D penny also carries weight because of the Denver Mint's reputation for producing some of the most desirable error coins in U.S. history. The D mint mark is not just a letter, it is a signal to collectors that the coin may have been produced under unique mechanical conditions, and in certain years those conditions resulted in some of the most valuable cents ever documented, beyond double dies and off-metal strikes. There are also die cap errors, broad strikes, strike-through errors, and improperly annealed planchets associated with this date, each representing a different type of chaos inside the minting process. And while many error coins are subtle, the truly valuable ones are unmistakable, showing dramatic distortions, missing details, or unusual textures that instantly separate them from normal coins. The magic happens when one of these extreme errors is paired with the correct date, the correct mint mark, and exceptional preservation, because that combination is so rare that it becomes effectively irreplaceable. The market for such coins is driven not only by rarity, but by competition among ultra-wealthy collectors, who understand that once a top-tier example disappears into a private collection, it may never return to public sale. Auction history has repeatedly shown that when a unique or near-unique penny surfaces, bidding wars can erupt that push prices far beyond initial estimates. Because collectors are not just buying a coin, they are buying exclusivity, history, and the right to own something that almost no one else on earth can ever have. The $38 million valuation associated with the 1977 D1 cent is rooted in these realities. It reflects theoretical and market-based potential for a perfect storm example, a coin with a major mint error, flawless condition, full authentication, and ironclad provenance. And while not every 1977 D penny is valuable, the possibility that one could be hiding in plain sight is what keeps people searching. Every penny jar becomes a treasure hunt, every inherited collection becomes a mystery waiting to be solved, and every roll of cents from a bank becomes an opportunity. This psychological pull is why content about rare pennies goes viral, because it taps into the universal hope that ordinary life can suddenly change through knowledge and attention. Yet the same story repeats itself again and again. People unknowingly clean their coins, polish them, or damage them trying to make them look better, not realizing that originality is sacred in numismatics, and that even gentle cleaning can destroy millions of dollars in potential value. Experts always stress that coins should be left exactly as found and evaluated professionally, because weight, metal composition, strike quality, and microscopic details all matter. The 1977 D penny also benefits from the passage of time. As decades go by, fewer high-quality examples survive. Coins are lost, corroded, spent, or destroyed, and that natural attrition increases the value of the remaining population. Rarity is not static, it grows as supply shrinks, and that is why prices for top-tier coins continue to rise, especially for those tied to interesting production eras like the late 1970s, when the U.S. Mint was pushing output limits. This coin stands as a reminder that value is not determined by face value but by story, scarcity, and survival. A 1-cent piece that once bought almost nothing can now represent wealth beyond imagination. And that contrast is what makes the 1977 Mint D Mark 1 cent such a powerful symbol in coin collecting culture. It challenges assumptions, rewards curiosity, and proves that history often hides its greatest treasures in the most unassuming forms. So the next time you come across a 1977 penny with a small d beneath the date, slow down, look closer, consider its weight, color, strike, and condition, because you might be holding a piece of American history that the world would pay millions to own. Next, 1964 No Mint Mark 1 cent USA coin. Right now, somewhere in the United States, an ordinary brown penny dated 1964 with no mint mark is sitting quietly in a drawer, a jar, an old wallet, or a forgotten box, and the shocking reality is that this simple-looking 1-cent coin could be worth an unbelievable $41 million. A number so extreme that it sounds impossible until you understand why this particular penny has become one of the most powerful legends in American coin history. Because the 1964 No Mint Mark 1 cent USA coin represents a perfect storm of timing, metal composition, curiosity, minting pressure, historical context, and ultra-rare mint errors that together transform a common object into generational wealth. And it all starts with the year 1964, a year remembered not just for coins, but for massive change across the United States. A time of cultural shift, economic movement, and record-breaking coin production, when the U.S. Mint was operating at full capacity to meet demand from a growing population and an expanding economy. And during that year, Philadelphia, which traditionally did not use mint marks on cents, struck enormous quantities of pennies intended purely for everyday circulation. Yet, hidden among those billions were microscopic numbers of coins that were born different, created by anomalies inside the minting process that no one noticed at the time. The absence of a mint mark on a 1964 penny means it was struck in Philadelphia, and that fact alone places it at the center of one of the most intense production environments in mint history, where dies were pushed beyond their limits, presses ran non-stop, and quality control struggled to keep up with volume. And whenever production pressure rises, the probability of rare errors increases, which is exactly why collectors pay such close attention to pennies from this era. One of the most important factors behind the staggering $41 million valuation attached to the 1964 No Mint Mark penny is the possibility of extreme double die varieties, created when the coin's design was impressed more than once at slightly different angles during the hubbing process, resulting in strong, unmistakable doubling on the date, lettering, or Lincoln's portrait. And while minor doubling exists on many coins, the dramatic, fully separated double dies are extraordinarily rare, especially from Philadelphia in 1964. And when such a coin survives in pristine condition, untouched by cleaning or damage, it becomes the kind of numismatic unicorn that elite collectors chase relentlessly. Another massive value driver is the potential for off-metal or wrong planchet strikes, where a penny was accidentally struck on a metal blank intended for a different denomination or alloy. And in 1964, the U.S. Mint was still dealing with metal composition logistics and experimental supplies, making it possible, though incredibly rare, for a cent to be struck on an unusual planchet and when authenticated, such a coin becomes a physical mistake that should never have existed, instantly elevating it into the highest tier of collectible rarity. There are also die cap errors, broad strikes, strike-through errors, and improperly annealed planchets associated with this here, each one telling a silent story of malfunction, human oversight, or mechanical chaos inside the mint. And while small errors might be worth modest sums, the extreme examples, the ones that visibly defy normal minting rules, are the pieces that enter multi-million-dollar territory, especially when combined with flawless preservation, because condition amplifies rarity. A rare error in poor condition is impressive, but a rare error in near-perfect mint state condition is priceless, and this is why grading plays such a critical role in value. Professional certification verifies authenticity, confirms condition, and gives buyers confidence, turning a tiny coin into a globally trusted asset. The 1964 no-mint mark penny also benefits from its historical positioning as one of the last pennies struck before major changes in U.S. coinage philosophy fully took hold, giving it an emotional and symbolic weight that collectors deeply appreciate. Coins are not just metal discs, they are time capsules, and owning a legendary 1964 penny means owning a tangible piece of mid-20th century America. And when that historical significance is combined with extreme rarity, the demand becomes explosive. Auction records have shown again and again that when a unique or near-unique penny surfaces, wealthy collectors compete aggressively, pushing prices far beyond expectations, because they understand that such opportunities do not repeat. Once a coin like this disappears into a private collection, it may not resurface for decades, if ever, and that scarcity fuels obsession, speculation, and viral attention. The idea that a penny could be worth more than luxury homes, exotic cars, or entire businesses captures the imagination of millions. And unlike fantasy stories, this one is rooted in real numismatic principles, real market behavior, and real money. Yet despite all this, countless people unknowingly destroy potential fortunes by cleaning their coins, polishing them, or altering their surfaces, not realizing that originality is sacred. Every scratch, every chemical reaction, every attempt to make a coin look shiny can erase millions in value instantly, which is why experts always stress to leave coins exactly as found and seek professional evaluation. The mystery surrounding how many of these ultra-rare 1964 no-mint mark pennies actually exist adds another layer of intrigue, because no one truly knows. Many could still be hiding in plain sight, mixed into old collections, passed down through families, or forgotten in storage, and that uncertainty keeps the hunt alive, turning everyday people into treasure hunters, and making each penny inspection feel like a moment of suspense. This is why content about rare pennies continues to go viral, because it taps into a universal hope that knowledge, patience, and curiosity can uncover life-changing value where no one else bothered to look. The 1964 no-mint mark 1 cent stands as a powerful reminder that face value means nothing compared to rarity, history, and survival. A coin created to be spent and forgotten now represents financial freedom, legacy, and prestige. And as time moves forward, these coins will only become rarer, lost to damage, melting, or permanent collections, pushing potential values even higher. So the next time you see a 1964 penny without a mint mark, do not ignore it. Examine it carefully, check for doubling, unusual metal color, weight differences, strike anomalies, and overall condition, because you might be holding a silent fortune, a coin that history overlooked but collectors dream of owning. And the fascination with the 1964 no-mint mark 1 cent does not stop at known error categories, because advanced collectors and researchers continue to uncover deeper layers of potential value hidden within this coin, including subtle die state progressions where early die strikes show razor-sharp details while later die states reveal cracks, cuts, and collapsing metal that create one-of-a-kind visual fingerprints. And when a coin can be traced to a very specific moment in a die's life cycle, it becomes far more than a penny. It becomes forensic evidence of the minting process frozen in time. Another aspect that pushes this coin toward legendary status is the possibility of transitional anomalies where leftover materials, experimental blanks, or improperly mixed alloys may have been used unintentionally, producing cents with unusual weights, colors, or magnetic responses. And even a fractional difference in metal composition can turn a common coin into an irreplaceable rarity once verified. The Philadelphia Mint in 1964 was operating under extraordinary stress with demand so high that speed often took priority over perfection. And that environment is exactly where historic mistakes are born, mistakes that decades later are reclassified as treasures. The market psychology surrounding this penny is also critical to understand, because value is not determined only by how many exist but by how badly collectors want them. And in the upper tier of numismatics, desire is fueled by storytelling, prestige, and the thrill of ownership. Owning a 1964 no-mint mark penny valued in the tens of millions is not just about money, it is about status, about being part of an exclusive group that owns something almost mythical, something most people have held in their hands without realizing its importance. That contrast between ignorance and enlightenment is powerful, and it drives bidding wars that defy logic. When two or more elite collectors decide that a specific coin completes their collection or represents a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, price becomes secondary, and this is how theoretical values like $41 million become realistic discussion points rather than fantasies. Provenance adds yet another explosive layer to value, because a coin with a documented history, perhaps traced through old collections, estate holdings, or original bank rolls, carries a narrative that money alone cannot buy, a well-documented journey from circulation to discovery to certification transforms a coin into a historical artifact with a biography, and collectors pay heavily for that certainty and romance. The longer a coin's story, the higher its perceived legitimacy and desirability. And because 1964 pennies were often hoarded during periods of economic uncertainty, many original rolls were stored away and forgotten, increasing the possibility that untouched, high-grade examples still exist today, quietly waiting for rediscovery. This fuels an ongoing treasure hunt mentality across the country, where people search through old jars, inherited collections, and forgotten safes with renewed urgency, and every rediscovered penny adds to the mythos of the 1964 no-mint mark cent. Education plays a key role here, because knowledge separates those who spend coins from those who preserve fortunes. Understanding how to recognize die doubling versus machine doubling, how to identify natural toning versus artificial alteration, and how to measure weight and dimensions correctly can mean the difference between dismissal and discovery. Yet despite the abundance of information available, the vast majority of people still overlook these details, which ensures that rare coins continue to slip through the cracks, reinforcing the idea that hidden wealth is still out there. The passage of time only strengthens this coin's position in numismatic lore, because as decades pass, fewer high-quality examples survive unscathed. Environmental damage, mishandling, and simple neglect remove potential candidates from the population, tightening supply and increasing competition for the best survivors. Scarcity is not just about how many were made, it is about how many remain worthy of attention. And in that sense, the 1964 no-mint mark penny grows rarer every year. This is why long-term collectors view such coins not just as collectibles, but as stores of value, tangible assets with historical backing that are immune to inflationary pressures affecting paper currency, and that investment perspective draws in new buyers who may not even collect coins traditionally, but recognize the power of rarity and history combined. The idea that a single cent could outperform traditional investments over time challenges conventional thinking and reshapes how people view everyday objects, and that philosophical shift is part of what keeps this coin in constant discussion. It symbolizes the hidden potential in overlooked places, the reward for curiosity, patience, and respect for history, and it stands as a reminder that value is often invisible to those who are not looking closely. So as long as pennies continue to circulate, as long as old collections remain unopened, and as long as people underestimate the importance of small details, the legend of the 1964 no-mint Mark I cent will continue to grow, inspiring searches, debates, and dreams of discovery. And if you want to stay ahead in this hunt for hidden fortune, to learn how ordinary coins become extraordinary, and to never miss the next $1 million story hiding in plain sight, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and keep watching, because the next life-changing coin might already be waiting in your hands.